Okay, so we're going to show the operation of this DSII 608. It has an issue in service of it tripping free. So right now I have auxiliary power going to the trip unit with this plug. I have power hooked up on the back rails for closing, charging. So basically I have the motor hooked up continuously, and I'm going to use this cable to tap in and simulate a button press for closing. I'm going to use this primary injection machine to trip the breaker and put it into a lockout state so that I can demonstrate what happens during that state, how to reset it, and stuff like that. So the first thing we'll do is just make sure the breaker's operating good as far as closing. So it's closed and charged right now. Go ahead and trip it open, demonstrate the closing. Right now I'm going to check the anti-pump relay, so what I'm going to do is trip the breaker, continuously power the close. I'm going to trip the breaker and make sure it doesn't try to cycle closed again. Okay, so the Y relay successfully sealed it out, blocked another closing command with the closing circuit still powered. So if I disconnect here, it should unpower Y relay and allow it to close again. Okay, I hear the Y relay pop. Now we have a breaker closed, we have trip unit powered. I'm going to go ahead and trip it under fault, or a simulated fault at least. Okay, so now we have a tripped condition. So on this breaker there's two alarms. There's an alarm button right here that goes to a couple signaling switches in the back, but this trip unit is also equipped with a lockout program. So basically if I try to close it right now, tripping free. Now if I come up here and hit this trip reset, it clears the fault and I can go ahead and close. So after any fault, you have this reset for some signaling alarms, but you also have this lockout that you need to hit to be able to close the breaker again. Now, what makes this kind of difficult to diagnose is, let's say I'm going to put the breaker into a lockout position. Okay, it's tripped under fault, it's now in lockout. Now let's say you're trying to diagnose a problem, so you rack the breaker out, it loses power. So let's take out control power. Okay, now the breaker should still be in lockout, but because it's lost power, it's not able to maintain the trip unit actuator in a way that'll keep the breaker tripping free. So, and then the other part is if you put it back into power, so it still has your fault, it's still indicating that there's been a fault, but the trip unit's already been disconnected from power, so it lost that lockout on the actuator. So what's happening is the breaker goes into service, it possibly has a fault, or something caused the trip unit to trip. It goes into a lockout position, and then power is continuously applied, leading to a continuous cycling. So I'll go ahead and trip it one more time, and I'll just give another demonstration on that. So tripped, the lockout is engaged, trip free. Reset, close, and recharge it. So we haven't been able to replicate any failure on this breaker. The problem that was described to us seems like it has to do with this lockout. It's the only way that I've been able to get it to go into that trip-free state. So hopefully this video helps.